And when I have to talk about the car overall, I really have to say with the facelift of the car, Skoda really made it happen to redefine the car and made it even more elegant. I'm already was a friend of the Skoda Superb, and I think the new car with the new front and rear bumper and the new tail and headlamps, a bit thinner, looks, I think, even more elegant. And the other thing I have to say, what still is there and what still is one of the assets of the Skoda Superb is the space, because you have plenty of space for driver and co-driver, and you have even more on the rear seats, and you have one of the biggest boots in the whole segment. I think it is the biggest boot in the segment. And then we do have to talk about the new systems on board. So we do have new infotainment, we do have new driver assistance safety systems, and very important, we do have new engines. And when we started the morning, we used the most powerful petrol version, and very interesting here was the fuel consumption, because we only used about 8.5 liters per 100 kilometer driven, and now we've changed to that one here, which is a 190 horsepower diesel engine, and with that one we only use 6.5. So I think for such a big car, quite good numbers. And then there is the package called Scout. And when you look at that, this is very interesting. So I think Skoda really made quite a nice package here with this wheel arch claddings and the underride protection and all the stuff. So the car looks quite, robust, quite cool. And so most of the things which you will get with a Superb Scout, you can buy as an optional feature for the standard Superb as well. But the good thing here is the package is quite interesting, because the car comes very well equipped, but that comes with a price. So the basic new version of the Skoda Superb costs you in Germany about 28,800 euros. If you want the Scout, then you have to pay 46,150. But the difference here is with the standard version, you have 150 horsepower petrol version, and you have front wheel power. And with the Scout, you do have all-wheel drive on board. You do have the automatic gearbox. You do have the big diesel engine. And there are many, many other things that comes as standard with the new version. So I think you really have to think about, do you like the more elegant or the more rough one? And I can tell you there's nothing to complain about with the standard one, and especially not with the Scout we drove. Skoda's flagship, the Superb, received a facelift. At the exterior there's not so much new, but the car now features new engines, new driver assistance safety systems, and a new infotainment. And for the very first time you will have the option to order your Skoda Superb as a Scout. And this is the car we're going to test drive today to see what is really new with the new Skoda Superb. Of course, the Skoda Superb is as practical as its predecessor. So it does feature big compartments in the door. It does feature here these cup holders in the center console. It does feature a big compartment beneath the armrest, which is cooled if you want. And on top of this, yes, you do find all the Simply Clever stuff, like the clip here for the tickets, or yes, of course, the ice scratcher beneath the lid of the tank. And yes, of course, as the predecessor, umbrellas in the door. The front design of the Superb has been slightly modified. So you do find now a completely new front bumper, which is, I would say, a bit more sharp than the predecessor. And the important change with our car, because that's the Scout, is we do have this, let's say, alloy looking part down here, which gives the car more power from the front. It looks a bit more off-roady, and it should look a bit like an underride protection. But another new thing is the modified grille. You have these two bars on the single bars here now. You can't see them well with our Scout version because this is completely pitch black. If you buy the standard car, you will have that in chrome, so that really looks completely different. Then you can really see something has happened. But I think the most important change with the Superb is you do find now all the lighting with LED technology, and very important, for the very first time with Skoda, you can order your Superb with matrix LED headlamps, and that means you can drive in a pitch black night with full beam on and nobody will complain. something you absolutely do not have to complain about with the Skoda Superb is space. Because here at the front seats, as a driver or co-driver, you really do sit comfortably. You have plenty of space. Even me as a tall person, only 2 meters tall, I do sit perfectly in the car. I can adjust everything the way I want. And I know, because I drove so many Superbs, that even behind me, you do really sit very comfortably. You have plenty of space left. And on top of this, you get nearly 2,000 liters of maximum boot capacity. I'm really very happy that this hasn't changed from the predecessor to the new Superb. There is a difference between the Skoda Superb as the Scout and the standard Superb, which is the Scout features 15 mil more ground clearance. You can have an, let's say, off-road package for the standard Superb, which gives you 10 mil, so the real difference you can buy with the Scout is only 5 mil at the end. But when we look at the rear of the car, the first thing you see is we do not find the Skoda logo anymore. You do now find the Skoda signature here, quite prominent, quite big. This is something we saw very first time at the, I think, Scala it was. When you look at the rest of the rear of the car, of course, the car do feature a new bumper as well, as we saw at the front. We do have this metal look here again, which is typical for the Scout. But what I really like with the new rear bumper is this detail down here. Because we do not find any fake exhausts anymore. This is just something new. I really think this is a very nice piece of design with the car. And important with the Scout, with the Superb now is, the car now features LED technology with the taillights as well. But what has not changed is the boot capacity of the Skoda Superb. With the Estate, the car offers 660 liters maximum capacity with the rear seats up, and that increases up to 1,950 when you fold down the rear bench. So I think it's still best in class. But there are new things inside of the boot. One thing is this here, is an, let's say, organizing tool for the stuff you put in your boot that will not roll around. And another thing is down here, they have an extra compartment here, which gives you the opportunity to have some more, let's say, have your boot a bit more organized. So I think one of the biggest, let's say, assets of the Superb is still there. We're talking about nearly 2,000 liters of boot capacity. The Skoda Superb Scout comes really very well equipped. So for instance, it comes as standard with a heated leather steering wheel with heated front seats and many other things more. And so if you look through the pricing list, you will find loads of marked or checked buttons where it is, this is not an optional, this is a standard feature. The Skoda Superb comes as standard with an 8-inch touchscreen here at the center console for the infotainment. But if you want, you can have a lot more. As an optional feature, you can order a full digital cockpit, 10.25 inch of a screen, and that features different modes. You can have a fully card, or you can have a sports mode. And interesting here is they did it as they did with the Passat as Volkswagen. You have extra informations right and left of this display, which makes the display look even bigger than it is. The only downside for me here is I'm not a big fan of the temperature and fuel tank information you get left and right, because I don't like the design so much, but that's maybe just my personal opinion. And if you want, you can also have a much bigger screen here at the center. You can have up to 9.2 inch, and that car then is fully connected, so you're always on, and you can then have all the traffic information live. You can have, let's say, fuel pricing, parking information, all this stuff on time in your car. And on top of this, this top system then features gesture control as well. And when you come close to it, it also gives you the sensor also is recognizing your hands. So then extra buttons, they just pop up. A downside with this system for me is it doesn't feature direct buttons. So you can't just say, I'm getting close with my hand and I want to go to the sat-nav. You always have to go back to the menu or the home button, and then you can choose what you want. This is for me the only real downside with it. Talking about materials and craftsmanship inside of the Superb, I really have to say you have soft touch everywhere, and that really is very nicely made. On top of this, you do find with the Scout some wooden materials. It's not real wood, it's just fake, but it looks very nice. It looks a bit old-fashioned, but on the other hand, I think it matches the car quite well. And you find this here at the center console, here at the dashboard, and you can see it here at the doors. And I think, yeah, the package is really quite nice. So there's nothing to complain about, because everything you see looks good, it feels good, and you don't hear any noises from scratches or squeezes. It's all well made. And so I think there is really nothing to complain about that. One important notice is the Matrix LED lights, they come as an optional feature for the Superb, but with a Scout, they come as standard. When you look at the side of the car, the first thing you see, our car is dirty. And the reason for that is we use the gravel ground road to get into this beautiful area here. And this is the reason why there's so much dust in our car. But now let's talk about the facts and figures. The Superb Scout comes as standard on 18-inch alloys. Our car is featuring the 19-inch, and you have to pay extra 650 euros here in Germany. When you look at the side of the car, nothing really has changed with the new Superb, but because we do drive the Scout, we do have these claddings here at the wheel arches and at the side of the car, and you have seen the front already, and you will find something similar at the rear. And important, because this is a Scout, you will find the Scout signature here, and you have these alloy looking rear view mirror caps, and of course the roof rails have the same option, or same optic. When we look at the whole size of the car, the length of the car has changed only slightly. This is about 6 millimeters with the Combi version, and it's about 8 millimeters with the normal limousine. But this is only because of the new bumper. So the wheelbase and all this stuff, everything is the same. It's the same with the height and the same with the width of the car. So nothing really has changed here. Our Skoda Superb Scout features special, very comfortable seats, and they do deliver loads of support as well. And when you see the headrest, you can really adjust it the way you want, even if you're a tall person like I am. So you really do sit very comfortably and nice in the car. And on top of this, you get this Scout stitching inside of the seats, which underlines the impression that the whole car should deliver. And so I have to say, yeah, this is something you can feel very comfortable even on long trips. There are 3 different petrol engines available for the Superb, and they deliver a power range between 150 up to 272 horsepower. And then there are 2 different diesels, both 2 liter, and they deliver 150 to 190 horsepower. Very important is, even though they are 2 liter engines, both, one is the new so-called Evo, and that one is a lot more fuel efficient, but still very powerful. And then later the year, there will be a plug-in hybrid available. That car then features a petrol engine combined with an 85 kilowatt electric motor, and so you have a system output of 212 horsepower there. Important with the car is then with this hybrid, you can drive up to 55 kilometers purely electric through the city, so very, very nice and very environmentally friendly. Regarding to gear shifting, you can have either a 6 or 7 speed DSG or a 6-speed manual gearbox, and of course the Superb is available as a front wheel power car, or like with our Scout, as an all-wheel drive car. When we started our test drive, we used the 272 horsepower petrol version, and that engine really works well with a 7-speed DSG in the Superb. And it was nice to drive, it was powerful if you want, and then we've changed to the 190 horsepower diesel version. And when you drive this car, it feels a bit like, if you drive normal in comfort mode, that it is a bit more direct when you push the pedal. Of course, if you really push the pedal with a petrol, you do feel the extra power, which comes with the revs. But if you drive the diesel, that works really, really nice. So I think you really don't need these extra 80 horsepower to have a sporty feeling or have the idea of, yes, I can drive a bit more dynamic. But on the other hand, the petrol version is a bit more quiet. So if you drive the diesel, and especially in lower revs, you do hear a bit more of the engine, a bit more of this typical diesel noise. But I have to say both of the cars are very, very nice and quiet. But as I said, the diesel is a bit more, but both are very nice. The Skoda Superb features as standard when we talk about driver assistance safety systems, for instance, a city emergency brake system, and it does feature a cruise control, and it does feature park sensors front and rear, all as standard. But you can of course order a lot more. And there's some interesting things like an adaptive cruise control, lane keeping and active lane keeping system, and if you want traffic sign recognition. And if you want, it also offers predicted driving, which means the car then uses all its systems combined, like the front camera, the radar, the sat-nav, the lane assist, the traffic sign recognition, and so on. And then it does work completely autonomously. So that means that if you drive with the cruise control activated on the motorway, the car knows, because of the camera and the sat-nav, that there will be a speed limit, and so it will automatically reduce the speed to the limit when you reach the sign. So you will never have any problems with speeding. It will then, whenever you're allowed to drive quicker, accelerate automatically as well. The only downside here is it will only start with it after the sign. And that is something where I'm, from time to time say that's a bit too slow, the reaction. So I do overwrite it with my pedal. But it really works very nice and smooth. And important is, because it works with a sat-nav, the car also knows there will be a very tight bend, so I have to reduce the speed. There maybe is a roundabout, so I have to reduce speed. Or you just want to turn, and the car will know this because of your route in the sat-nav. And then it will reduce, or let's say adapt the speed as well. And that brings you to the point where you, for instance, did what I did. You drive a long distance on the motorway, you really don't have to use your right foot. You can just keep your foot off the pedal and the car will do the rest, and you can do this for a very long trip, and you can then just say the car is doing your job. When we talk about the Superb and the combination out of steering, suspension, engine, gearbox and wheelbase, I really have to say what the car offers you is from quite sporty to extremely comfortable drive, because you can choose different drive modes, and it features still a very long wheelbase and I think quite precise steering as well. So that really is a very, very nice setup for the car if you want the car for long trips, because you really have a lot of comfort in the car. And I have to say, this is the same as with the predecessor, a very, very nice package. I really do like the interior of the Superb a lot, but what I don't like so much is the ceiling, because I'm not a big fan of the color. It is well made, it looks nice, but I think the color gives it an impression of being a bit, cheap. I think cheap is the word. And but you have to know, you don't need to order this. You can also have it in black. And if you order the top version of the Skoda Superb, you can order that in Alcantara as well.